Mark chapter 10, verses 46 to 52. It says, Now they came to Jericho, and as he went out of Jericho with his disciples and a great multitude, blind Bartimaeus, the son of Timaeus, sat by the road begging. And when he heard that it was Jesus of Nazareth, he began to cry out and say, Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. Then many warned him to be quiet, but he cried out all the more, Son of David, have mercy on me. So Jesus stood still and commanded him to be called. Then they called the blind man, saying to him, Be of good cheer, rise, he is calling you. And throwing aside his garment, he rose and came to Jesus. So Jesus answered and said to him, What do you want me to do for you? The blind man said to him, Rabboni, that I may receive my sight. Then Jesus said to him, Go your way, your faith has made you well. And immediately he received his sight and followed Jesus on the road. He says, what did he say? He said, Your faith has made you whole. Your faith. What was his faith in this instance? What did he do to show faith? It says he cried out to Jesus. He cried out to Jesus. And that just gets me excited. I just love that. When Jesus says, Your faith has done this. Your faith did this. What did he do? All he did was cried out to Jesus. And Jesus says, that is faith. You cried out to me. That is faith. That's how we're saved. In Acts 2:21 and Romans 10:13, it says, For whoever calls upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. Yeah. Everybody's yelling at this guy to be quiet. They're telling him to shut up, sit down, get out of the way. Jesus is busy. Go do something else. Leave him alone right now. They're telling him to stop. But what did he do? It says he didn't shut up. He got even louder. He started crying out all the more. He cried out even more. They're trying to tell him to stop. They're trying to tell him to sit down, get out of the way, shut up. And he says, I'm going to cry out even more. I'm going to cry out even more. Jesus, have mercy on me. And then Jesus heard him. Jesus heard him crying out. And he said, Bring him to me. When everybody else is trying to keep the man back, everybody else is trying to tell him to stop it, Jesus ain't got time for you right now. He's on the road. He's busy. Jesus looks at him and says, I got time. I will stop everything for this guy. I will stop everything I'm doing for this guy. He'll stop everything he's doing for you when you cry out to him, when you need something. Yes, I talked about that Sunday. God is a busy God, but he will stop and he will make time for you. He's always got time for you, and he's always listening when you cry out to him. Jesus sees the things that people can't see. Jesus looks at you differently than the other people do. Oh, that's just a blind beggar. That's just a nobody. Jesus saw something else. That's somebody I can heal. I can use that for my glory, and this man's never going to be the same. Jesus sees something different. He says, Be of good cheer. He is calling you. That's what they went and told him when Jesus called for him. Be of good cheer. He is calling you. One minute they're telling him to shut up. Next minute they had to change their whole tune. Be of good cheer. He's calling you now. Come over here. And we know Jesus is calling everybody to him. Jesus is calling everybody to himself. That's the gospel that we talk about. That's the good news that we're supposed to be preaching to the world. Going out there and telling people, Jesus is calling you. No matter what you're going through, be of good cheer. Jesus is calling you. Jesus wants to talk to you. Jesus wants to see you. Jesus wants to heal you. Jesus wants to set you free. Jesus wants to heal you or save you right now. Be of good cheer. He's calling you. And this man jumps up, throws off his garment. That'd be a different kind of reaction if we were out on the street ministering to somebody and said, Jesus is calling you. And they ripped off all their clothes and came running. But no, you didn't have to take it that far. Everybody tells me I take things too far. That's something I would do. Jesus is calling all of us. And Jesus asked him what he wanted. Jesus knew what he wanted already. Jesus already knew what this guy wanted. Jesus already knew what this guy needed. But he asked, he said, What do you want me to do? And he said, I want my sight. Give me my sight. Yes. Give me my sight. This man is blind. He's desperate. There's absolutely nothing that he can do, and he knows it. He's been to doctors. He's tried everything else. He's tried all the world's ways. He's tried all his own ways. There's nothing he can do. And now he's desperate. He's desperate. And I know I've talked about this story before. The Greek word in this passage for blind is a man who wasn't necessarily born that way, but lost his sight somewhere along. So this guy knew what he was missing. He had something, and then he lost it, and now he wants it back, and he's desperate. He had his sight. He lost it. He's blind, and there's no cure for it. And now he's a beggar because there was nothing a blind man could do back then for a career. Nowadays, it's a horrible, horrible thing to be blind, and God still heals blind eyes. Don't get me wrong. But there's work for a blind man. Back then, there wasn't. a blind man was automatically now a beggar sitting in the streets with a cup in his hand asking for money from strangers or anybody that walks by. It was a horrible life. He was desperate. But then he heard of Jesus. He believed in Jesus and he heard, Jesus is coming my way. I'm going to start screaming right now. I wonder how long he was crying out to Jesus. He just knew Jesus was coming, but he couldn't see the crowd coming. He probably heard the crowd. He didn't know where in the crowd Jesus was. So he's just yelling. He's crying out. And that might be why they were telling him to be quiet, because he was so desperate. He was crying out before Jesus even got close enough to hear. But I bet you Jesus knew. Jesus didn't have to be within hearing distance to hear this man and to know what was about to happen. And I just love that part where it says he cried out all the more. It reminds me of one of my other favorite stories in the Bible, that you all know what it is, where the lady touches the hem of Jesus' garment, the way that she had to fight through the crowds and all the obstacles to get there, just to make some kind of contact with Jesus. But she was desperate. She knew what she needed. She knew she needed Jesus. She had tried, just like this man, she had tried everything else. She had spent every dime she had on doctors and couldn't get anywhere. And she knew Jesus was the only way. She had that faith that if she could just fight and push and crawl and get to Jesus and just even touch his garment, she knew that something powerful was going to happen. I want us to have that kind of urgency and that kind of desire to touch Jesus. When people, we haven't had much for altar calls lately. Nobody's been running to the altar for prayer. But what if I tried to stop you? What if you were here tonight and you desperately needed prayer, and I told all the men in the room to grab a hold of you and stop you, tell you to sit down? What would you do? Would you fight? Would you claw? Would you push? Would you pull? Would you crawl through underneath their legs and just try to get to this altar? I don't know if that's actually the right way to fight. I don't know. I mean, you don't necessarily need me. My opinion would be, well, I don't need that guy anyway. I just need to cry out to Jesus. I just need Jesus. I need to get desperate for Jesus. If they're not going to let me through, I can just get down on my own knees and I can cry out to Jesus, and he will hear me. I know he will hear me. Do you know that God hears you when you cry out? Yes. We have to know that God hears us. It says in Psalm 34:17, the righteous cry out, and the Lord hears and delivers them out of all their troubles. He hears us. He hears all of our cries. If anybody tries to tell you to shut up or stop it, cry louder. Get louder. Get desperate. Show God that you're desperate. But we all have all these backup plans. Well, if I don't get healed at church, I'll just make another doctor's appointment. No, you got to get desperate for God. The doctors can't do anything. We find that all the time. Thank God the doctors are helping my mommy. But in a lot of cases, especially these stories that we read, there was nothing the doctors could do. They got desperate. They knew that they needed Jesus. Nothing's going to happen until I can make contact with Jesus. I'm just going to cry out to him. We have to trust him. We have to have faith. The people in the Bible that Jesus healed, they cried out to him. They ran him. And it wasn't just the sniffles. It wasn't just the headache. You know, we get that at the altar sometimes. Oh, pray for me, I stubbed my toe. And that's okay. God can heal that pain too. But these people were blind or dying or crippled, and they needed Jesus. There was nothing else. There's nothing they could do about it on their own. They couldn't earn it. They couldn't fix it on their own. Now, and it's also a picture of our salvation, because we can't do it on our own. We can't get saved on our own. There's nothing we can do to get to heaven on our own. We can't pay for it. We can't earn it. We can't deserve it. It's all through Jesus Christ. It's all about realizing our sin, realizing our need, realizing our desperation, and calling on his name. And anyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. And we have to cry out to him. There's nothing we can do. Ephesians 2:8 says, for by grace you have been saved through faith, not of yourselves. It's a gift. It's the gift of God. It's nothing you can do. It's a gift. You can't take a pill for it. You can't go to the doctor for salvation. It is a gift from God. You can follow the Bible to the letter. But the salvation comes not from works, but through grace as a gift from God. We got to cry out to Jesus tonight. We need to get desperate for Jesus. Get desperate for him. Does anybody think it's okay to cry? Anybody ever cry? Anybody ever cry out? Weston cries? I cry. It's okay. Some people say real men don't cry.
That's a lie.
That's a lie. Real men cry. And I don't want to be sexist. Some women will say, real women don't cry. us strong, independent women types, we don't cry. You need to cry. It's good to cry. Sometimes it's great to cry. We need to get desperate. We need to show weakness sometimes. We need to show desperation. We teach our kids from a very young age, I am weak, but thou art strong. This children's school, the Sunday school song, Jesus loves me, this I know. I am weak, but you are strong. We teach them from a really young age. You're weak without God. You need God. You'll never be strong without God. But then as we grow up and we start trying to figure things out on our own, we lose track of that and we start thinking we're strong. We start thinking we can do things our own way. We need to get weak again. We need to realize we're weak again. There's nothing I can do on my own. I need Jesus in every area of my life. I am weak. I should want to be weak. I want to be desperate. I want to be more desperate for God because I want more of God. And I'm not going to get more of God until I realize how much I need more of God and how much I want more of God until I get desperate for God and actually cry out to God. That's what we all need to get to that point where we're just desperate, crying out to God once again. Unless you've already made it. Unless you're already there, then forget everything I'm preaching about tonight. But I know for most of us, and I know even for myself, I need to get weak again. I need to realize how weak I am and how desperate I am. And say, God, make me even more weak right now. Make me even more desperate right now because I want to desire you and want you more. I want to cry out to you more because I know once I break again, you're going to build me back up and I'm going to be stronger than I was. Build me up. Break me down and build me up. Should be our cry to God. God, I'm desperate for you. I need you. There's nothing else I can do. I'm at my wit's end. I've been trying to do things all by myself. God, I'm sorry for the way that I've been trying to do things all on my own. I can't do it alone. I can't do it without you. I need you in my life more than ever. I want you. Cry out to Him. I don't even know if you guys are with me. I'm out here preaching passionately and from the heart. I can't tell if you're smiling or laughing at me. I'm serious. Get excited. Man, there's lots of times in my life that I was strong. I thought I was strong. I thought I could figure this problem out. I can do this. But I'm wrong. Unless I'm including God in my plans, I can't figure it out. That's a sure way to failure is to try to do it alone. We need God. We need to be praying that every day. God, make me weaker again. Make me desperate again. I want to be desperate for you. I want to desire you more. If I can't get you excited, I'll move on. Finish. I love this other part of the story too. This is kind of a two-parter thing, a two-point thing, where Jesus says, go your way, your faith has made you well. We already talked about what his faith was, and your faith made you well. It says, go your way. Your faith has made you well, and immediately he was healed and he could see. And I still try to throw myself into these stories sometimes and try to understand what somebody was going through. I don't know what it's like to be blind. I mean, sometimes I feel like I'm pretty close, but I don't know what it's like to live a life that way, being a blind beggar on the street, and then all of a sudden, I can see, and I'm healed. I mean, that is just amazing. But God said, Jesus says, go your way. Go your way. What did he do? What did he do? This reminds me of the time when all the people stopped following Jesus and they all went home. Except the 12 stayed and they said, Jesus, where would we go? Where would we go? To whom shall we go? You have the words of eternal life. Where else are we going to go? Where else are we going to go? And this man, after Jesus said to go your way, it says Jesus told him, let me see if I can find it in the scripture again. See if I can shuffle my papers. Followed him on the road. Immediately he received his sight and followed Jesus on the road. That is powerful to me when Jesus says, go your way. This man's way now is to follow Jesus on the road. Yes. He could have went anywhere. He could have went back home. He could have went and just seen all the things that he's been missing. He could have went and seen whatever family he had, or just went and saw the sights for the first time since he'd been blind. Jesus said, go your way. He said, you're my way now. You are my way now. Wherever you go, I'm going to follow you on the road. That's powerful to me now. And we can't just keep running back and forth. Every time Jesus does something for us, every time Jesus heals us, and he says, go your way, we run back to the mud. We run back to where we used to be. We need to continue following Jesus, continue being desperate for Jesus and calling on his name, crying out to him, not just running back.